One of the problems with recruiting for investment banking is not the knowledge or skills you acquire, but the access to talk with real investment bankers to put your best foot forward. Our sponsor, WSO Academy, can provide those connections with 60 head mentors who are finance professionals at top firms like Goldman, Centerview, and JP Morgan. Imagine being able to get on the phone within 24 hours with one of the Academy's 1,300 mentors right before a critical interview. Get on the waitlist for WSO Academy today by clicking the link in the show notes or by visiting wallstreetoasis.com/academy. All right. Welcome to Investment Banking Insights. This is the only show dedicated to helping you learn both the technical and the non-technical aspects of the investment banking process. My name is Alex Mason. You already know, I'm your host. Recording live from Ithaca, New York. Hello, everyone. Shout out to all my other classmates who listen to this. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all support. Thank you. And all of you who aren't my classmates, I love y'all too. But thanks so much for listening to the show. We're talking about behavioral questions today. And today's question is this. Tell me about a time when you presented to many people. Tell me about a time when you presented to many people. And here's the thing. If you don't know by now, banking, being an investment banker, it's a client-facing business. You're going to be talking to a lot of different types of people, and you're going to be talking to them very frequently. In fact, your clients, especially if you're more senior or if you work with businesses that are maybe smaller and you get a little bit more face time with founders and C-suite executives right out of school, you're going to be spending a lot of time with particular people. And so what does that mean? How do we be successful with that? Well, communication skills are highly important. If you're good at performing analysis, if you're good at crunching numbers, that's great. But if you don't get along that well with people, you simply will not rise that far up the ranks. It just won't happen. You're in a people-facing business. You need to learn how to work well with others, and presenting to people effectively is a part of that. So that's where this question is coming from. Tell me about a time when you presented to many people. It's a communication skill, right? Now, there's probably many examples that you have in your past of when you presented to many people. I mean, most people, probably all people who've gone through a high school level education and certainly a college level education have had at least some exposure to presenting in front of the class, right? You're presenting some kind of project or paper or poem or something where you created something and then you communicated it to multiple people at once. So there's some kind of example in your past where you've done that. So think about when that's been in your history, particularly if it's been in professional experiences, professional settings, or academic settings, preferably a college setting, right? So maybe you did it in a formal way at work or at school, or maybe in your personal life too. You presented, such as maybe you gave a toast at the wedding of a close friend, for example. I think that could also be an example. So the way you want to approach this is you want to describe the event or the situation, then share what motivated you to talk to this group of people. Like, why were they listening to you? There's some kind of context here, right? If you were working at the science fair for your state, the state science fair in high school, people were listening to you because they wanted to hear about your experiment. If you were presenting a class project in college, people were listening because you had something to say about a specific topic that was being assigned. There's a motivation behind every speech and every presentation, so you can touch on that. And then next, of course, we talk about this all the time with behaviorals at this point, but you got to talk about the result. Describe the result. What happened? Did you talk to someone and some action was taken on a new initiative because of your efforts? Or was it just kind of like people just nodded their heads and then gave you a courtesy clap at the end and then that was it? You want to focus on things that were impactful, preferably, because that shows that you have influence, you have persuasive abilities, and you're not just someone who's just talking just to talk. So describe the results and think about if you got any follow-up questions after your presentation, if there's any sort of action taken as a result of what you said. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to relate to an in-person live event. You can also share a time where you were published in an article or in a journal, or maybe you were a guest of a podcast, maybe even Investment Banking Insights. And I'll be taking guests for this podcast actually soon. So drop me an email if you're interested and we'll talk. But as far as this question, you want to demonstrate that you're able to communicate, whether that's verbally or in writing, and just talk about that experience. Because if you're going to be an investment banker, you're going to be in a client-facing role, it's very important that you have communication abilities. Okay, so that's what I got for you today here on Investment Banking Insights. My name is Alex Mason. I am your host, and I'm so grateful that you're here listening. I'll see you next time.